Squid Game. You'd have to travel to a different dimension to find someone that hasn't at least heard that name before. Even if they haven't watched the show, I feel like everyone on the planet at this point has heard about it. It was an absolute phenomenon that took the internet and the whole world by storm, really. It was a property that everyone latched onto like children still being breastfed by their mother's teat. Everybody was trying to squeeze some juice from the Squid Game IP. So it was never a question of if Squid Game would ever get a season 2, it was a matter of when. And I'm actually shocked it took this long. Season 2 is slated to come out this year at the end of December, and we just got our first teaser trailer for it, which I can't show you for obvious reasons, but I'll just go ahead and show you this still image from it. You can immediately sniff out that they made a big change here, where Ji-hun's hair is no longer red. Big spoiler, but at the end of Season 1, he dyes his hair red. Almost as red as goof juice, baby! Gamersupps.gg/moist for some goof juice, best flavor of any beverage ever. And now in the Season 2 trailer, he doesn't have red hair anymore. I don't know if they just decided that it was a silly idea and scrapped it, or if there's some narrative reason for it. Apparently Season 2 is set 3 years after he won the first Squid Game, so maybe he dyed his hair and then it grew back out by the time this rolls around. Who really knows for sure? But that's something I've seen a lot of people talking about, and I kind of want to give my thoughts on how I think Season 2 will go. And I also kind of want to Trojan horse into this video my thoughts on Umbrella Academy Season 4, as well as My Hero Academia Season 7. I'm just going in like a full rant mode here, so Squid Game Season 2 is just the tip of the iceberg. Now, I like Squid Game. I don't think it's a perfect show or anything, but I've always been very positive about it. I thought it was interesting, I thought it was unique, and I really think that it is a very strong show. I do think Alice in Borderlands is a better show, but I like both of them. Squid Game is always going to hold a special place in my boners, though, because it really was something that I had never seen before. I never really got into, like, K-dramas or anything like that. That was my first, experience with it, and I really enjoyed it. And most people did. Like I said, Squid Game was huge. It took over Roblox, for example. God rest the soul of anyone that was developing Roblox games during the 2 months that Squid Game was like at the height of its popularity, because your game immediately ate shit because everyone was going to the Squid Game playground. There was like 1,000 Squid Games getting pumped out every single day, just getting tons of doubloons like an infinite money glitch on there, because everybody was getting in on the Squid Game hype. It's not even a show that's aimed at children or anything, and yet children couldn't stop going ballistic, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over Squid Game. I really thought they'd quickly turn around on Season 2, but no, they gave it a ton of time to bake here. They left this puppy in the oven for a while. So initially, I said that I think that this is kind of a lightning in a bottle situation. Like, I didn't really think they could do this again. They couldn't capture the same magic of Season 1 of Squid Game. But since it has been so long since Season 1, it's not like this has created a whole new genre that's oversaturated or anything, so there still is plenty of room for this to breathe as like a really fun show. Even if it's not as well written as Season 1, and like I said, it's not perfect. There are so many things in Season 1 that I think are kind of silly and lame. For example, like the rich people up in the suite. I just had a voice crack remembering this. It just scared my vocal folds from how cringe it was. But some of the rich people in their masks going, ha ha ha, poverty, ha 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 ha, like tweaking on their nipples and shit. Like, there definitely are moments that aren't great about it. But overall, it really is a pretty well-written show that is very good. And I'm actually going to remain optimistic here. Since it's been so long since Season 1, I'm hopeful that they actually did put a lot of tender love and care into the writing to deliver something that feels fresh yet familiar. I think they're going to go hog wild on the games, which is probably the best decision. The death games, I imagine they're going to put a lot of elbow grease and clams into. That's going to be very expensive, and I imagine they're going to go really big in that department, since that's what everybody took away from Squid Games. That shit is still, to this day, some of the Squid Games, still being used in other pieces of content and other games. They were massive. I can only hope that Season 2 doesn't just take the same games and the same concept for games, where they just take, children's playground games, right? Hopefully they do something different with the games, and I imagine they will. I don't think they're just going to do the same trick twice. I just hope that they don't forget about how important writing good characters is, because the characters in Squid Game are really good. The characters do shine. Not all of them. Some of them super stinkers, but most of the characters that you follow and get to learn a little bit about are good. And you need that in order to actually get invested in the games and the story and the world. So I hope they don't just focus entirely on the main character. I'd like them to once again have an interesting cast around him. And I just really think they will. I have nothing to base that on other than hopium, because the teaser trailer doesn't really show you anything. All it really says is the real game begins. So this is kind of setting it up as like, he's gonna fucking take down the whole system. Everyone's getting fucked in the face in this one. So there's not like anything I can base it on or anything. I just think this is a really easy series to not fumble. You know, like, even if the writing takes a nosedive, as long as the games are creative and well done, people are still going to love it. Like, it's kind of a layup, really. Like, you would have to try hard to ruin this. I think the only way this gets ruined, and I could look like an absolute prophet if I call this shot correctly, I think the only way they eat shit on this is if Season 2 abandons the games and focuses entirely on him taking down this organization and taking down these games. Like, we don't even really see the games. They just play second fiddle to him, you know, dismantling all of it. And then it becomes kind of just like a generic action movie in concept, which isn't what made Squid Game special in the first place. So I'm remaining cautiously optimistic about Season 2 of Squid Game. I really think it's just a slam dunk. I don't think you can really ruin it unless you are truly just misguided, which is certainly possible. With Netflix, that can absolutely happen and has happened a ton of times before, so I guess we'll see. But now, speaking about Netflix and fumbles, let's talk about Umbrella Academy Season 4. So, the final season of Umbrella Academy is here, and I haven't finished it. I liked Umbrella Academy. It's not my favorite show or anything, but it was an enjoyable show. I watched the previous 3 seasons. I didn't even know Season 4 had come out. I saw no marketing push for this, no buzz about it. The only reason I knew it came out is because I saw people really upset about how bad it was. And then Matt was also talking about it yesterday, about how disappointingly lame Season 4 is. So, I started it. I don't plan on finishing it. It's just super underwhelming. Like, it's not good. It's not like the worst thing ever filmed or anything, you know, like it doesn't bring disgrace to cinema or anything. But it is just so weak for a finale. And it feels like there's so many things that were set up throughout seasons 1 through 3 that are just completely abandoned so far in the final season. Like, it's like they totally forgot they even wrote some of these things. I'm trying to avoid spoilers here because I know it's still fresh. But man, there were like entire plot lines coming into season 4 that I think the writers were just hoping people forgot about. Like, I have no real good explanation for the complete absence of things that were set up and then just not finished. It reminds me of that villain from Jimmy Neutron, the guy that never finishes his fucking sandwiches. Half done, never finished, that guy. That's Umbrella Academy. Now, maybe it's saved at the very end. They remembered everything. Like, oh, wait, that's right. We had all of these plot lines. Let's go ahead and throw them into the final season, or the final episode. I don't know, because like I said, I haven't finished it. But from what I've read from people that have, it's not really the case. They didn't really do that. And a lot of people are saying the final episode is the worst one, at least from what I've seen. So it's not like if I pushed through season 4, I'd get like a great finale. So it just doesn't feel worth it to finish the series, which is sad because, like I said, I enjoyed it, but I'm not going to force myself to finish season 4 here if I'm just not feeling it and if there's really nothing redeeming about the finale. So that's just kind of a shame. Like, what a letdown. I don't know how this has happened multiple times where a good show has a horrible ending. That's what people remember the most, is how it ends. Like, you could have the best journey, but if the destination is dog shit, people are only going to remember that. Again, I'm sick and tired of using this example, but it is actually the best possible example. Game of Thrones. You had 6 seasons of a masterpiece. And then even season 7, people were pretty lenient on. It was definitely the weakest season at the time. And then season 8 comes out and it's just an affront to God. And everybody hates it. And now nobody talks about the 6 seasons of masterpiece that we were blessed with. All people remember is how fucking disappointing the ending was. Another great example, if we want to go into anime, since I'm about to talk about my hero, Promised Neverland. Promised Neverland season 1, a masterpiece, an absolutely incredible season. And then season 2 comes out, and it's the worst season of any television show ever, not just anime. I said this at the time and I stand by it. Season 2 of Promised Neverland turns into like this speed run of just going through cliff notes to get to the ending. So they cut out like, I don't even remember, like 100 chapters worth of the manga, so the story no longer makes sense. It's completely disjointed. Everything's just so abrupt out of nowhere. It's a mess. And the final episode of Promised Neverland Season 2 ends in I think it was like a 4 or 5 minute slideshow, an actual slideshow that just tells you all of these things that happened about, oh, we had this problem, but then we solved it in the next slide. And then that created this problem, which we then solved. Next slide. Like, they just give you this breakdown of how everything got solved without showing you anything. It's just a terrible, terrible season. And now no one remembers Promised Neverland being anything other than a disappointing fucking failure because of Season 2. Like, shows need a good ending. Otherwise, what was the point? People mainly remember the endings to shows. Like, when I think of Code Geass, my favorite anime, well, tied for my favorite anime with Attack on Titan, I don't know, I think I still give Code Geass the edge. I keep flip-flopping, but regardless, when I think of Code Geass, the first thing that pops into my noodle is the perfect ending. The beautiful conclusion to that show. And I feel like that's just across the board with most people and their favorite shows. So I don't know why the final seasons to some shows end up being the worst ones, where they put the least amount of effort and are the messiest. That is the one that all of the effort should have gone into. Because a good ending can also lift an average show to a much higher level. I don't know, I just don't get it. So yeah, Umbrella Academy, the final season, very underwhelming. And now I want to talk about My Hero Academia, because I'm all caught up. So Season 7's out. I've been watching Season 7. I'm all caught up. And most of you know I've been very harsh on My Hero. I used to love it. Like most people, My Hero was huge. I bought into the hype. I really liked it. I still really like the early seasons of My Hero. But it's a show that continuously loses its footing. It keeps trying to splice in these things no one cares about, where you're doing like provisional licensing, or you're doing like schoolwork in order to become the hero, and it's putting this focus on shit that no one cares about, and then you end up just having like this deja vu moment where, you know, Midoriya is always like, that's right, I need to fight for my friends. Oh, I'm about to lose this fight, but I can't forget that I'm here for my friends. I got to do this for my friends. And that revelation he has probably like 30 times per season, every season. It just gets so tired. And all of the other characters around him do the same thing. And the cast of characters is so big that some of them just don't get fleshed out at all, and it just feels really unrealized potential. Then they start playing like a backseat. Even characters who are big, like in Season 1 and 2, basically have no presence in some of the later seasons. So like, it just stumbles and falls so often, which led to a lot of people dropping the anime, myself included. I dropped it a couple seasons ago, but I picked it back up because I know the manga ended, and people are pretty split on the ending. Some people like it, and some people absolutely hate it. But I haven't seen anybody that loves it. So it's not like an amazing ending, but it is satisfactory to some people and absolutely insulting to others. I'm trying to avoid spoilers as much as I can on that, but I do want to see this show through because of how much I enjoyed it in the early seasons. I still think All Might is an incredible character, and I love the music. I still get super hyped for some of the tracks when they come on. Like, I have a couple of them downloaded. So, I liked My Hero, but like most, I also stopped liking it at a certain point. After the millionth time that they start doing like a school festival, or focusing on some slice-of-life shit that I just don't care about because they keep shoehorning it in at the worst possible moments. You'll have one episode that's really good, you know, like it's something great's going on, they're setting up a big fight, and the next episode is, damn, how do I play this on guitar? I need to get ready for the festival. We gotta do a great performance for the festival. It's like, who gives a fuck? I did see a post that's gone pretty viral, as I understand it, about why My Hero has left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths and why so many people have dropped it. And I'm not just going to summarize the whole post, but one point they made that I think is a really strong point is, after All Might vs. All for One, nothing really interesting has happened. There's been a couple of, glimmers of hype and like a couple of, sparks of greatness, but nothing nearly as cool as that and any of the shit that preceded it. There just hasn't been anything to that level since. And I agree with that point. Now, I'm caught up on season 7, and I actually really like the way season 7 started. You know, Star and Stripe versus the ultimate evil. We've got Tomura versus Stars and Stripes. And Stars and Stripes has a really, really cool quirk, New Order. It's great. And the fight is pretty hype. But it commits what I believe to be a big sin in shonen where it becomes so generic. So instead of just having them fight, they have each party throw out one, maybe two moves, and then both characters just start spouting their motivations or having flashbacks. So the fight only lasts, I think it's 2 or 3 episodes, but the fight itself, if you just took the moments that they're actually in combat or about to hit each other or planning an attack or something, it's probably only like 3 minutes would be my guess, because most of that is spent with them talking about their motivations, talking about their history. Like, they just fucking lore dump. They just exposition vomit during these fights, which I know is super cliche for shonen, but some of the greats don't do that, or they know how to do it without it taking away from the intensity of the scene. Like, that fight, when it was happening, was great, but most of the time it was just each character talking about how they got to that point. Like, they're just focusing on the wrong stuff. And I know that did happen in early seasons too, but to a lesser degree, at least from how I remember it. So even after that fight though, I still think there are great moments. I love their plan of separating all of the villains, and I really like how the fight against Tomura has gone. I don't want to spoil anything, but Bakugo has done some really cool shit here. But they, once again, do... I can't talk about it because it'll be a spoiler. I can't go into detail with what I'm about to say here because it will be a spoiler. There are things they're doing right and things that I think they're just missing on. It definitely isn't a bad season by any means, and it's definitely better than some previous seasons, but it's not a season that I think is going to win over fans again. Like, I feel like people that dropped My Hero probably aren't going to pick it up because of season 7 or anything, but it's at least going in a better direction. Like, it's an improvement for sure. But man, it is such a shame, because I really did like My Hero a lot, and I think it had so much potential, but it's just not being fully realized. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to rant about these things here tonight. That's really about it. Just wanted to yap about it. So yeah.